I opened the doors to my dream restaurant on a night I thought would change everything. I sent out invitations to my entire family, hoping they'd walk in and share the moment with me. But when the time came, not a single one of them appeared. Instead, they were all crowded into EZRA'S backyard, celebrating his job promotion with cheap beer and plastic chairs, while I stood alone in a dining room glowing with candlelight. As the night ended, I cleaned up in silence, wiping down tables that had never been touched, folding napkins no one had unwrapped. The smell of garlic and rosemary still lingered in the air, mocking me. At the host stand, the handwritten menu cards I'd poured hours into still sat in a neat stack. The playlist I'd made, songs from our childhood that I thought would make the night feel like home, kept looping to no one. My phone stayed silent. No apologies. No, we'll be late. Not even flowers from Mom. Just EZRA'S Instagram story, flashing across the screen, promotion party vibes. There was my family, dancing and laughing behind him, holding up a cake with bright frosting letters that read, "To bigger things." I had built something from scratch, something I thought they'd be proud of. But they hadn't just forgotten. It felt like they had chosen to ignore it. When my father finally texted, his words didn't surprise me. "We need to discuss the restaurant." I didn't need to ask what he meant. I knew. He was thinking about money, about the discounts he assumed were his by bloodline, about the family tab he thought he was entitled to. I stared at the glowing screen for a long time, then typed the only sentence that mattered. Effective immediately. The restaurant is closed to all family. No reservations, no discounts, no exceptions. Within 20 minutes, my phone exploded, 19 missed calls, each one unanswered. Then came the knock at the back kitchen door. I already knew who it was. EZRA. He stood there, dressed in his sharp blazer, reeking of cologne and carrying a white bakery box. "Brought you some cake," he said with a grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Figured you'd want a slice." I didn't move, didn't answer. "Look, Jules," he tried again. "We didn't think tonight was that big of a deal. Dad said it was more of a soft launch thing." I stepped outside, closing the door behind me. "You went to his party, EZRA, not mine." I sent hand-delivered invitations. I texted Mom 3 times. "I made your favorite lemon tart." It sat untouched for 5 hours. He glanced down at the cake box in his hands. "People got busy." "No," I said, quiet but sharp. "People got lazy. They thought I'd always be here, the backup plan." I walked past him, tossing the trash bag I was holding into the dumpster. He followed me. "Jules, it's not that serious." But it was. It had always been. From the way Dad called me the artsy one like it was a flaw, to the way Mom compared my dream to EZRA'S marketing career. They wanted me small so they wouldn't have to explain me. EZRA shifted, lowering his voice. "I think Dad wants to invest now. He sees potential. He asked me to talk to you." And there it was, the truth. Not regret. Not support. Just business. "Tell Dad," I said, my voice steady. "The restaurant is already fully funded." Then I walked back inside, leaving him and the cake on the sidewalk. I kept my voice steady, telling him the investor had bought my loyalty outright. EZRA squinted. "What's that supposed to mean?" I gave him a small smile. "It means you're late, and I don't reheat leftovers." With that, I turned and went back inside, sliding the lock into place. On the other side of the door, I heard his breath catch, a pause, and then the sound of his footsteps fading down the hall. The very next morning, I changed every lock I owned, not just at the restaurant, but at my apartment as well. For years, I had let my family treat my spaces as though they were theirs. "Jules, can we crash here? Can you hold on to this for a couple of weeks? Let me borrow your car till Monday." And every time I gave in because no made me feel selfish. Deep down, I confused being useful with being worthy of love. But love doesn't vanish on the biggest day of your life. Love doesn't shrug off your invitations or decide you're an afterthought. Love shows up. So, I made my boundaries clear. I taped a handwritten sign to the restaurant door. "Dear customers, due to overwhelming support, we are now reservations only. Walk-ins not accepted, family included." By noon, the photo of me standing in front of that sign, arms folded and apron dusted with flour, had been posted on local foodie blogs. By evening, it had exploded across the internet. The comments poured in, "She's a legend. Boundaries taste better than betrayal. Ezra should order humble pie." Meanwhile, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. My mother rang 5 times, leaving one sharp voicemail. "Juliet, this is childish. We're family. We made a mistake, but this tantrum is humiliating us all." I ignored it. Instead, I greeted a couple from Georgia who showed up at the door, fingers intertwined, smiling wide. "We saw you online," the woman said. "We canceled our other reservation just to come here." As I led them to their table, I caught my reflection in the front window. For the first time, I didn't see bitterness or anger staring back at me. I looked free. Behind me, the dining room pulsed with laughter, forks clinking against plates, the sound of joy I had created. It was a space filled with second chances, ones I chose to give, not ones wrung out of me. 2 days later, my father appeared. Not at the restaurant, he wouldn't risk the cameras or another headline, but at my apartment. Through the peephole, I saw him, suit jacket rumpled, eyes weary, like a man no longer in control of the narrative he'd crafted. I opened the door but blocked the threshold. "Let's be adults about this," he said. His voice was low, strained. "Your mother's upset. Ezra's confused. We all are." "Then talk," I said flatly. "Right here." He sighed, almost theatrical. "This is absurd. We're not enemies." "No," I said. "You're just people who forget I exist unless I'm paying the bill or cooking the meal." That struck him. His expression flickered, his shoulders tightening. Then, softer, "I was going to help you. I was looking into financing." "You mean you wanted equity?" I countered. "Control." His jaw clenched. "Don't be paranoid." I reached behind me to the console table, pulled out the manila envelope I had been keeping ready for this very moment, and held it up. "Here's the deed. The restaurant is mine. Solely mine. The LLC. The patents, the recipes, everything. My lawyer made sure of it." His eyes widened, then narrowed. "You hired a lawyer?" "I hired a team," I said. "Turns out amazing things happen when you stop waiting for permission to shine." He looked down, defeated, muttering, "We just wanted you to succeed." "No," I corrected, my voice sharp but steady. "You wanted me dependent. Manageable." He didn't answer right away. Before leaving, he turned back, his tone sharp but tired. "This is going to come back to haunt you. Jules, you're burning every bridge you have." I kept my voice steady. "Then I'll just learn to swim." I closed the door behind him, and for the first time in my life, I realized I didn't need their name to succeed. Mine, Juliet Martin, was finally enough. That night, 12 new reservations came in, along with one unexpected message from Ezra. "They're planning something. Be careful." I didn't shiver. I didn't hesitate. Let them plan. I had plans of my own. The first warning came as a single bad Yelp review. Then another. Then 6 more, all dropping within the span of an hour. Each one read like it had been copied and pasted. Cold food, unfriendly staff, an owner glaring like customers didn't belong. But I knew the truth. Not one of those names matched my reservation log, and my kitchen never sent out cold food. Ezra's words echoed in my mind. They were plotting. And here it was, a smear campaign. 1-star attacks, digital graffiti, the kind of sabotage that kills reputations quietly but mercilessly. I didn't spiral. I prepared. I called my lawyer first. Then I reached out to a loyal regular, a journalist who once wrote a glowing piece titled "The Restaurant with a Soul." After scanning the suspicious reviews, she didn't hesitate. "Someone's targeting you," she said. "Want to go on record?" "Yes," I told her. By dawn, the article was live, beneath the apron strings. How a rising star chef fought back against family sabotage. It wasn't vengeance, it was truth. The piece contained everything. Screenshots, timestamps, inconsistencies, even a statement from one of my staff who revealed my father had stormed in the week before, threatening to buy out my lease if I didn't come to my senses. By midday, the story caught fire. Readers filled the comments section not with hate, but defense. Imagine being so terrified of your daughter's success. Families like this don't break you, they forge you. She's not the black sheep. She's the phoenix. That evening, as I wiped down tables, a woman entered quietly. She leaned close and whispered, "They tried to crush you. I came to tip you $1,000 just for standing tall." I cried later, hidden in the walk-in fridge. Not from weakness, but relief. Because finally, the world had seen what they'd done. And for once, people chose me. But the next move wasn't mine. It came from Natalie, Ezra's fiancée. She appeared just before closing, no reservation, no excuse. Just a fragile smile and shaking hands clutching her phone. "Can I talk to you?" she asked softly. "Please, just a minute." I nearly told her no. But something in her expression, remorse maybe, made me pause. She sat across from me at the last booth by the window, hands locked around a coffee cup I hadn't even filled yet. Her voice broke into a whisper. "I didn't know. I swear. I didn't know how far they were willing to go." I stayed silent. "They made a WhatsApp group," she continued, shame coloring her words. "Your mom, Ezra, Aunt Linda, Cousin Mark. They called it Project Reset. The plan was to pressure you into selling or make you fail." I didn't react. I already suspected. Natalie swallowed hard. "Ezra told me it was just to bring you back to reality. But after that article blew up, they turned on each other. Your mom blamed Ezra. Ezra blamed your dad. Now it's chaos." I studied her. "Why are you telling me this?" Her face crumpled with guilt. "Because they dragged me into it. And because I don't want to marry a man who treats his own sister this way." She slid her phone across the table. On the screen, screenshots, voice notes, group chats. Proof. Names, dates, strategies, all laid bare. "If you want to go public," she said quietly, "you have my blessing." I didn't answer right away. Not because I doubted, but because revenge wasn't about noise. It was about patience. This wasn't about striking back. It was about finally cutting free. I looked her straight in the eye. "Thank you," I said. "You just gave me everything I needed." And I meant it. Sometimes the last move doesn't come from the player holding all the cards, but from the one quietly walking away. At exactly 9:12 a.m., the story broke. Chef Juliette Martin's family exposed for plotting to destroy her career. Screenshots, leaked group chats, and sharp commentary spread like wildfire. I hadn't gone to the press. I hadn't needed to. Natalie had done it herself. With one short post, "I won't be marrying into this family," she attached the evidence and it caught fire instantly. The screenshots spoke for themselves. "She thinks too highly of herself. Cut off her supplier discount. Make her crawl back." In black and white, the cruelty was undeniable. Public anger came fast, and the tide turned before I had time to catch my breath. Hashtag Stand With Juliet began trending within the hour. People I hadn't heard from in years, childhood friends, high school classmates, even coworkers from old jobs, filled my feed with messages of support. She was always carrying everyone. They used her until she had nothing left. That's why she shines, because she fought alone. By noon, every table in my restaurant was reserved for the next 6 weeks. At 2 p.m., my landlord called and said, "Juliet, I'm extending your lease for 5 years. Rent frozen. You're the pride of this street." At 3:17 p.m., Ezra sent me a text. I didn't know Mom had saved those messages. "I'm sorry." I didn't answer. My hands were busy with napkins and sauce, adjusting a picture frame that had hung crooked for too long. At 5 p.m., a woman in a navy blazer and bold red lipstick stepped inside. She introduced herself as a journalist from the Food Chronicle. "We're running a feature on 10 chefs who made it through the fire. You're our cover." Cover. I repeated, unsure if I'd heard her right. She smiled. "You're not just a chef. You're a revolution." That night, when the last dish was plated and the dining room fell silent, I poured a glass of wine and stood barefoot in the quiet. The air felt lighter, cleaner. Tomorrow I'd start something bigger, because revenge wasn't survival. The real victory was success, served without words. A year later, the invitation arrived. Thick cardstock, gold foil lettering, sealed with a family crest I knew too well. Ezra and Marlene's engagement brunch. I laughed out loud. The same people who had once locked me out were now asking me to help polish their reputation. I slipped the invitation into my blender and watched it shred to paper dust. Then I opened my laptop and signed the contract I'd been negotiating for months, my second restaurant. Juliet's Table. This one was in the heart of downtown, in a historic brick building with high beams, a rooftop garden, and a kitchen double the size of the first. My team wasn't made up of the usual polished resumes. I hired the overlooked, young graduates with no connections, single mothers piecing their lives back together, quiet dreamers waiting for someone to give them a chance. Together we built more than a restaurant. We built a sanctuary, a place where dignity was served with every meal. The day of the ribbon cutting, a crowd gathered on the sidewalk. Cameras flashed. The journalist from before held out her mic. "What would you say to your family now?" she asked. I gave her a slow, quiet smile. Nothing. They'd always wanted explanations, apologies, second chances. But I owed them none of it. They didn't need my words. They needed accountability. And I had nothing left to prove. That evening, flour on my apron, hands dusted with dough, I moved through my new kitchen as my staff worked behind me. Laughter, the rhythm of knives on cutting boards, the hum of something hopeful. Then a woman entered, hesitant. She approached me and said softly, "I read your story. My daughter wants to be a chef, but she's afraid she'll never be good enough." I handed her a menu and told her they said the same to me.